All right, we're going to go over some highlights of Wern Valley cyclocross race. And right before this race started, it started raining and got real cold, and so I had to switch over to mud tires. And I'm glad I did, because you can see here, even in the opening stretch, I take this and it is a little slick, so I had to go really wide. I think I yelled something like, sorry guys, kind of ran through the whole field. But there was a whole shot preem, so people were going for it. And I was totally fine with just sitting in where I was. The mud mates for some cool photos. You can see Russell here. He's already slipping around. I don't know what happened there, but it was going to get slick later and later throughout this race because the storm kept coming through and the mud kept getting worse. But the name of this game was the wind. Right here you can see headwind going this direction, and it was incredibly important to be sitting in a wheel as much as possible. And you're going to see I do that quite a bit in the beginning of this race while I'm still near the front, which is good because if you're sitting in, you can kind of just save your energy, especially in the headwind there. Now, this section was also pretty big. I found that I could kind of maintain my momentum there by just kind of diving through the trees. Then we got a bit muddy right here. So there's a couple muddy sections where this one specifically, I lost some time. You can see here, I'm just going to lose quite a bit of time. I'm not exactly sure. I think I was just kind of taking it nice and slow and comfortable because I was at the front of the race, and then that gap opened up a little bit. So you can see here, it got quite muddy right there, and especially later in the race, it gets even worse. And right here was particularly important because I wanted to take this straight. See all the mud there? So I kind of swung wide and went straight, and that eventually leads to this long stretch. So again, headwind. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and try to sit in here. And so that was the name of the game. And once you sit in, I wanted to stay on that wheel. So I put in a good chunk of energy here over some of the technical little bumps of hills over here, and just try to stay on the wheel as long as I can. You can see I did that pretty well here by just sitting in, because that headwind was strong, and that wind and the rain was kind of really important to kind of sit in. Now here, I do sit up a bit. So this was a spot I found that I could strategically rest. It's a bit of downhill. It's also got a tailwind. So I felt like this was a really good spot to rest. But that opens up a little bit of a gap. Again, I used a lot of energy trying to stick on the wheel to make sure it wasn't, I was protected from the wind. But you can see it does kind of come back a little bit here. So it's kind of a strategic spot to rest right there while recovering a bit. So here you can see this is the muddiest section of them all. And I hit this line pretty bad. I almost kind of take out that spike. And you're going to see people are already running. And that's going to be important later too, because I nail that line. Basically, you want to hit the green, right? Green is go in cyclocross, and you're going to see later examples of that. But you can see first lap here, and I'm kind of losing a little bit of time, and you got people coming up on me behind. So I'm in an okay spot, but it's time to get back on a wheel. I really don't want to be out there by the wind myself. So you can see I put a good dig here, and I get back onto the wheel. And so I, again, kind of like what I was saying earlier, that protection from the wind is so incredibly important, and you got to dig, pretty deep to get up to a wheel, and it's totally worth it. So that's how the beginning of this race went. Again, the guy off the front was gone here, but I decided, lap 3 of 4, it's now time to make my move and just get out there and go. You can see he's pretty far ahead of me there. I've also lost time on this muddy section again, but I kind of think I could maybe try to pull him back. And if you're going to look here to the left, upper left, this is where I'm getting chased here. And so I still have to keep it fast. If I'm hitting in the wind, I got to hit my head down, get arrow. You can see I tuck in pretty down, pretty low. Again, I'm a bigger guy, so if you have to go into the headwind, you got to just tuck and kind of get arrow as much as you can. It's important when you're by yourself and a bigger guy. But I get stuck in no man's land here for a bit. And here's the line that I was talking about. You kind of take this green, you kind of go up north towards this green, and then you can continue to pedal. So that was the line I really wanted to hit there. Did pretty okay there. This gets a little slick right there, but I kind of was happy about how that eventually turned out. And you can see here now I've lost so much time on first place, and I still got people coming up on me fairly close. So they're keeping me real honest on the last lap here. And I just felt like if I kept things consistent, especially with all the rain and the mud, my whole thought process this entire race was just keep it upright. People were crashing left and right. My dad's taking some cool photos again in the mud. But the idea here is just keep it upright. You can see on the left there, still keeping me honest. And the whole name of the game at this point was just there were so many people slipping out and falling. I saw it all over the place. If I could just keep upright, and I don't think I crashed a single time in this race after this. If I could just keep it upright, I could be on the podium here in second place. So I had that mindset pretty much as soon as I realized that first place was gone, but also that there were people behind me and they could mess up. Here we get some muddy sections. I take it slightly slower, again, knowing that if I just keep it upright, I'm going to be fine. And then eventually comes to that really thick, muddy section again that I told you about. That's the line I want, the green, and then hit this green spot, and then just dig, dig, dig. And by then, I look back and I knew I had it. So here we have people cheering me on, my dad taking photos, and I was pretty happy because I was like, I got this in the bag now. There's pretty much second place on the podium for me here, and that's how this race finished out. So thanks again for watching. There's a whole bunch more of these kind of finishing out the season here. This is I was pretty happy with this podium. Spoiler alert, there's some more podiums coming. So thanks again for watching, and please subscribe and like the channel, and you'll see more of this. Thanks.